the Sports Betting Network.
The numbers told the story, they always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gil Alexander on VSiN.
Good Tuesday morning shoot is a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV, and Sirius XM Channel 158. It's Gil Alexander. That right there is Kelly Bidlin, y'all.
Hey, man.
How you doing?
Pretty good. Magic of television. I was just boosting up my chair because some tall person must have been sitting in here. But nobody saw it. Nobody saw me doing the awkward chair upping.
Probably shouldn't mention it when nobody saw it.
It's funny.
It is. Drew Dinsick will join us hour number 2 today from the Deep Dive and NBC Sports Bet the Edge podcast. Talk National Football League. How about some preseason talk? Do you have preseason fever?
Let's do it. I do.
3 weeks of preseason. Remember, a couple years ago, and for most of our lives, it was 4 weeks of preseason. Back in the day, and I'm talking 1970s, it was 6 weeks of preseason. Can you imagine that? Interminable preseason.
That's brutal.
6 weeks it was back in like 1978. But it's 3 weeks.
How do you even land on that number?
Well, they played 14 regular season games back then too, right? So what they've done systematically is reduce the number of preseason games and increase the number of regular season games. And by the way, I don't know that we're done with that. We may get down to 2 preseason and even more.
Yeah, that's fine.
18 regular season at some
Although
point.
I'm not complaining about 3 weeks like I was with 4.
No, I'm not either. Though, and we'll get to this because Kelly and I finally want to talk about preseason betting strategy, because we should sort of double back and not assume that everybody is a grizzled veteran when it comes to the notion of betting NFL preseason, because as you know, when you tell your friends, right, who are not necessarily big bettors but are sports fans, hey, some folks bet the preseason. Maybe I even dabble in betting in the preseason. Most people look at you, at least half of them, if not most, look at you and are like, oh my God, that's the most degenerate thing I've ever heard in my life. But truthfully, and we'll get into this, that ain't the case, and we'll explain why. Coming up, Mark Borchard on Major League Baseball. Where will McLaurin and Parsons play this season? I may recuse myself from this segment because I object to the premise.
I cannot believe that a couple of these books posted odds. They posted odds, and the Commanders and Cowboys are not that big of favorites.
Yeah, I think they're both playing there this year at their respective
I was
spots.
expecting them to be like minus 1,000 each on those two teams, and then some other teams.
Those are those weird markets, though, where all it takes is one bet somewhere and it changes dramatically. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about those. Those are available. And then Tyler Shoemaker, a little later on, VSiN contributor, talked some WNBA with us. How about Todd Wishnem on the WNBA yesterday?
That was great.
I
made a Liberty bet over the weekend, to win it all.
Really?
Yeah.
What number?
Plus 170 when Collier went down with that knee injury.
No,
it was just like
Collier.
I know Brianna Stewart's out right now for the Liberty, but I want to be positioned with a ticket on them by the time we get into the playoffs when Stewart should be back.
By the way, that Nafisa Collier thing. So the Lynx beat the Aces by a WNBA record margin as a road team on Saturday. She got hurt when they were up 40. If that were the NBA, think of the NBA equivalent
losing
of that.
Our minds.
We would be losing our minds. Like late season.
It's Nikola Jokic.
If the Thunder was up, maybe.
It's the MVP, right? So it's Nuggets, SGA being in a game when the Thunder are up 40 points.
He would go crazy. Yeah.
It's a great point. Yeah. There are people going nuts about this, but maybe not as many as we should be.
Because it's the W, right? Yeah. Speaking of Todd, I was watching baseball with Todd yesterday, and I've said this, and I think I might have even said it yesterday when he was on. By the way, thank you again to Chris Felica and Todd Wishnev, who were in studio with us yesterday. I watch baseball with him while he's in town. I watch it every night, and we're betting in-game. And I will say this again. Some people, he is so good at college basketball. He's so good at the WNBA. And then you'll hit a sport where some people are so snake-bit. The greatest bet in sports is Todd Wishnev voicing a baseball thought. Like, boy, I really think the Blue Jays are worth a look here, right? When it's like 1-0.
Never bet it. Yeah.
And then he does not bet it, right? So he follows it up with the thought that I should bet it, but then does not actually pull the trigger. That bet lifetime, I think, is a documented 5 bajillion and 5 in 1.
So bad.
And yesterday was the case. We walked and we had dinner at Nora's yesterday. It was 2-0 Blue Jays. I bet the Blue Jays -4 in game. Final score was like 15-1. He didn't bet it, of course. So that's just another example of it. Our early August returns, 2 undefeated teams, the Brewers and the Red Sox, both 4-0 here in the early going in the month of August as the Brewers just continue to steamroll teams. Our Rangers are 2-2 after having played 4 games, Kelly. You talk about the most roller coaster first 4 games you can have. They were up in the 9th. Also, let's go to August 1st against the Mariners. They were up in the 9th by a run, 2-run shot by J.P. Crawford, kills the Rangers, puts the Rangers at 0-1 to begin the month of August. Rangers beat the Mariners in 11 in game number 2, August 2nd. Rangers lose by a run to the Mariners on Sunday when Jacob deGrom decided to throw up meatballs and give up three homers in that game. And then last night, the Rangers, you see this game against the Yankees.
Yeah.
By the way, Chris Felica, speaking of Chris and Todd yesterday, Chris Felica came on the show a couple weeks ago and gave that Yankees to miss the playoffs. I think at like 10 or 11-1. This team can't win. They got swept by the Marlins, and last night they're beating the Rangers by. First of all, they were up 3-0. Max Fried versus Corbin, right? So this is a game they have to win. Fried versus Corbin. They're up 3-0. They gack that lead after Fried throws the ball into center field for the go-ahead run by the Rangers. 2-run shot by Giancarlo to put the Yankees up 5-4. That holds till the 9th inning, and then Devin Williams. Good God. Up steps Jock Peterson. Jock Peterson is hitting, I think, if memory serves, 156 on the season. Like this is the proverbial
Jock.
Clearly the last year of his career kind of thing. He jacks one off Devin Williams with 1 out in the 9th to tie it, and the Rangers win it on a 3-run shot by Young in the 10th to win it 8-5. Devin Williams after the game, was worse than even the Yankees. The ending was his quotes. Devin Williams. Quote, things haven't been going well for a while, and I think everyone's well aware of that. I would say I'm trying my best. Sometimes that leads to the opposite outcome that you're trying to achieve. He also said, yeah, I only threw 1 pitch that hurt me. Yep, it's kind of baseballish. Anyway, Brewers and Red Sox 4-0. Phillies, D-backs, Guardians, and Marlins all 3-1. When I talked to Borchard, I'm going to ask him the same question I asked of Paul Sporer yesterday, which is, which of these teams, because we're also focused in on the trade deadline, who are the winners and losers, basically, who are the teams that went for it and which are the teams that sold. But the real betting day-by-day thing is, which of these teams that you think have given up are the ones that are going to come back and nip you every day betting-wise? Not every day, but a lot of days. Look at those standings. Diamondbacks, who are the first to just sell everybody off, 3-1. Guardians, who have the Clase Ortiz gambling probe issue, 3-1, and Shane Bieber is gone. And then the Marlins, with the loss yesterday, fall to 3-1 for the month of August. So that's the thing. Baseball is a quirky little sport like that, and so that's what we have to deal with on a day-to-day baseball.
Just getting a notification coming down. Does look like Judge will go today.
Judge is eligible for activation, and he will be going to. I would assume DH as opposed to playing in the field.
Yeah, they said that right away, right? They were going to start him back at DH, so yeah, look for that. And then I want to ask you, because I know we got a couple tweets about this yesterday, and I've been thinking about it too. So you've got the Rangers 2-2 in this month. If you got a book open like DraftKings that does the updated odds, would you still get involved on the Rangers at a very similar number?
I would. Okay. You got 2 against the Yankees, and you got 3 against the Phillies, and then it gets progressively easier from there. So I would. And tonight is, again, it's an Eovaldi start for the Rangers, so that's one you got to win. But this should be a fantastic. These monthly bets are fascinating, again, just because it keeps you locked in to baseball, not just from a betting standpoint, but also just keeps you engaged in the sport itself as we head towards the postseason, an interminable regular season. But October will be here soon enough. Football and then October.
God bless these odds makers, Gil. Like, this is, like, we talked about it when we looked at, what was that, most wins, best record last week. We're like, man, these shift so much on a daily basis. I mean, now you talk about the monthly ones. It's like you win a game and like you got shortened by $1. Like it's just wild.
By the way, adjusted odds for the month of August: Brewers plus 350, Phillies plus 450, and there are the Dodgers 7-1. That was another one, by the way. Yesterday, Todd goes, "Can I interest you in some Sonny Gray at plus money, plus 150 for the Cardinals?" That sounds like something I might want to bet. He didn't bet the Cardinals win.
Of course, yeah. Dodgers perfect example. They were 4-1 yesterday, out to 7 now.
Yeah, I would even the awards markets are, everybody. We also, I think, just content-wise, we can be guilty of that if you're not careful, right? You can't be too reactionary just because somebody hits 2 homers on one night. Oh, I got to bet this guy. Right. You can't, you just got to look at the big picture on some of this stuff. By the way, one tennis play before we dive into NFL preseason strategy talk. I have not. The men are in Toronto. The women are in Montreal, the Canadian Open. It is on the business end of this tournament. And I really haven't found anything bettable the last couple days, so apologies for that. But if it's not there, I'm not going to play it. We do have Madison Keys today, though. Maddie Keys minus 135 versus Clara Towson. You can get this about 5 cents better. I'm behind this one in terms of the line. Clara Towson is a Danish player who, when we used to have Dan Weston on the show years ago, when he used to talk tennis. Remember my buddy Dan?
I mean, I know he's doing hardcore cricket now.
Hardcore cricket.
Can we get him on the show to talk cricket?
We could if you want to talk cricket. We won't understand a word, though, but we could do it.
I'll have to find someone to... Byron Lindeque, I'll reach out to write us questions to ask Dan.
Okay.
Yes. South African will translate questions for us into English for our English mate. I like this.
Anyway, Dan used to love Clara Towson. Always expected big things of her. She beat Iga the other day. Iga's returned from Wimbledon in the second round.
Oh, really?
Yes,
is that why this price is like this a little bit?
Yes. So this, people are saying maybe this is the tournament Clara Towson, by the way, finally breaks through on. But I got Maddie Keys with better numbers, and I got Maddie Keys at minus 135 today in Montreal, Kelly's favorite place on earth. NFL preseason strategy for the young and old next, right here on a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Got a good thing coming, just wait and see. It's a good.
The quest for $14.2 million starts right now.
We've waited. It's now here.
Record-breaking signups, $14.2 million. Also record-breaking chaos.
The number 1 team goes down in week 1.
It's crazy, dudes. I mean, obviously, this game was supposed to be Bengals blowout. No!
I'm done. The dream of going back-to-back is over.
Come on, baby!
Nobody could see this one coming.
No way the number 1 pick goes down in week number 2, but it did.
This has been the craziest year that I've ever seen.
By week 4, 75% of the entries are gone.
This is a tough competition, and it is not for the faint at heart.
Within 5 weeks, we'd lost 97% of the entries.
You can feel the tension like a hot knife through butter.
How many survivors will make it to even mid-season?
Catch the season premiere August 5th, 9 p.m. Eastern, only on VSiN.
Coming up on the next edition of Follow the Money, we'll preview the SEC with Paul Stone, win totals, and picks to win the league. Jeff Seeley on his best bets for the FedEx St. Jude Championship. NFL division previews continue. 5 games on the WNBA card and a loaded MLB baseball card. Follow the Money weekdays, 4 to 7 Eastern on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, now Sirius XM Channel 158. Make sure you check out the website for all the betting tools and analysis, and get the VSiN Watch app.
The Numbers Game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Want to bet smarter? Start with Smarter Insights. Right now you can check out VSiN's college football betting guide. It is out and about. Greg Peterson's MLB Best Bets and the Circa Friday Football Invitational Preview. And later today, you can check out Wes Reynolds' FedEx St. Jude Championship Preview, Zach Cohen's Tennis Best Bets, and Steve Makinen's MLB Analytics Report. Right now, you can sign up for as little as $9.99 to access all the VSiN Pro articles. Just head to VSiN.com/subscribe to sign up today. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Y'all are the best. This is from Vinny Boombots. He said, okay, this is some serious blank. He said, we need a Wishnev Wednesday back. By the way, he said we need a Wishnev Wednesday. I don't know if you're aware of this. We used to have Wishnev Wednesdays where Todd would spend an entire hour with me on the show on Wednesdays. If we've got to pass the hat to pay him or have Derek Stevens get him some free slot play, I have very little going for me. I need this to make it happen. Thank you, Vinny. Appreciate it. Oh, he goes on to say, nobody on earth consumes more Gilly Ice content than I do. The Gil versus Todd dynamic is 5 out of 5 stars, and we need more of it. All I'm saying. I agree with you, Vinny Boombots. Buddhist Man. Just getting around to yesterday's replay after a particularly fussy day with the child. He has a new baby girl, by the way, Buddhist Man.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting late night tweets from him now.
Yeah, he says, tremendous show with two of the best in studio. Talking about Falika and Todd yesterday. He says, great job by Falika for eliminating the foul language, and Todd giving in-play and WNBA insights you won't hear anywhere else. Literally. Absolutely. And then this is from, this might be a bridge too far on this one, everybody making this kind of joke. This is from Jacob Ellis, who says, if Todd could do a handicap on the color of the next object thrown onto the court in the WNBA, that'd be great. Probably more of a Megapod segment now that I think about it. And then Joe C. having our buddy Joe C.
Odds are out there.
Do you see the Joe C. tweet about him having trouble with vaping, or what's the story?
That's wild, man.
So he got fined, and then they rescinded the fine because was he vaping inside of his hotel room?
Allegedly, I believe. Allegedly, I believe. Yeah, he just said they have new sensors or something in the rooms. Because he sent us something last night. I didn't see it till this morning.
Yeah.
But yeah, he got dinged by the Venetian, I guess, for vaping in the room. It's like a $600 fine. Which, you're not supposed to do, just like you're not supposed to smoke in non-smoking rooms. But, marijuana is legal out here. People like to do that, Gil. And he said this morning there is a new type of air sensors in the room. I've never heard that before.
He was surprised by the vaping rule. That was what shocked him.
Yeah, that's what I was surprised. I was like, how the hell did they find out?
And maybe that's actionable information for those out there. Maybe folks did not know that you're not allowed to do that here. Okay, preseason football. I want to repeat what I said in the last segment, which is, listen, I know a lot of you will know this, but there are some folks who are new to betting and new-ish who may be sort of, given sort of a little bit of an education with this sort of thing. Because a lot of people who are, again, maybe not the biggest bettors in the world, but are sports fans, when you tell them that you think about betting preseason or actually bet preseason, or that your friends do, they think to themselves, oh my God, that sounds like the most degenerate thing ever. But in fact, edges in preseason games are vastly superior to anything that you can get in the regular season. And the reason for this, again, is because in the regular season, motivation and player availability is well known. Your ability to figure out what those two things are, again, motivation and player availability in the preseason, is really just an information race. Like so many things, like the NFL draft that we bet, like any draft that we bet. Some betting is just a race for information. Are you a better Googler or Twitter feeder than the sportsbook markets are in terms of what they do to produce lines? And how do you do that? Curated. What's our buddy Matt Brown likes to say, a perfectly curated Twitter feed of great beat reporters from NFL teams will go a long way towards you figuring out who is playing and for how long and what teams' motivations are in a 3-game preseason.
I finally decided this offseason, though, Gil, I'm following too many beat writers.
Yeah, it's not curated well enough.
That's right. You're right. I had to start clearing some out yesterday.
You gotta hem your hedges, or what do you call it?
You can't. This is the opposite. Like you do need. I agree. I have lists for every sport that I bet. NBA, NFL, especially where injury information's king. You got to be on top of that. But you're right. You've got to curate it well. If you have too many follows, you can miss some of the important news that comes down from a specific team.
That's absolutely right. Now, for instance, here's an example of this, right? Because particularly quarterback, right? You want to know what the quarterback depth chart is. How long is the starter going to play, if the starter's going to play at all? How long is the second string quarterback going to play? This is from Ian Rappaport. Bengals coach Zach Taylor tells reporters that quarterback Joe Burrow and other big-name players will play several series on Thursday night and more in Game 2 against the Commanders. New way of doing it with eyes on starting fast. Because remember, this is the rap, right? This is the rap on the Bengals. They start poorly. Survivor players from last year know this particularly well, with the Bengals losing Week 1 to the Patriots, losing Week 3 to a Commanders team that nobody knew would be as great as they were with Jaden Daniels. So the Bengals, and this is a well-known bit of information, they have sort of telegraphed the pass on this. We're going to play Joe Burrow a lot more. We're going to play starters a lot more. So that's a bit of information that's not going to necessarily get you ahead of the lines. That's just confirmation of one.
This was a 3-point game yesterday. We're out to 6.5 now.
Okay, so what
6.5.
So what Kelly is referring to, though, is these kinds of lines. Now, maybe I underplayed it. That might be an overreaction, but okay.
JVT and I were having this conversation yesterday.
Yeah, preseason lines will move dramatically larger and quicker than will regular season odds, generally speaking. So let me put it in sort of, let me quantify it for you. Steam, in other words, in preseason. If you can get ahead of it, there's like an 1,100 game sample size of preseason games that were studied. Drew Dinsick, who's coming on later, did a great job of this. 1,100 preseason games, the most recent 1,100 of these. If you get ahead of the steam on the ones that move dramatically, so talking about 1 point or more, if you get ahead of that, you hit it like a 65% ATS rate. If you do not get ahead of the steam, Kelly, let's say you just don't enjoy this information race. Let's say you're just lazy and look at the line and you say, oh, look, that one moved 3 points. Do you know what you are playing them after the steam in this? So it's 1,100 game sample of preseason games, 447 of which moved 1 point or more. Even if you don't get ahead of the steam, if you play it after the steam, do you know what your rate is ATS on these?
What?
58%. That's how ridiculous preseason betting can be.
Well, and I get that, and that's why these numbers are still moving. Then I guess off of the not I want to say the littlest news. This one is kind of significant, but we've gotten a couple. Like JVT and I were talking about this yesterday. I can't remember what team this is now. We were like, a game moves 3 points off of like maybe news that you expected to hear. I don't know if I want to say this is exactly what I expected to hear from Zach Taylor.
Maybe not precisely.
Because I think me and you are still concerned about this plan. Like Zach Taylor, maybe dial it back a little bit.
Zach, I don't know if you know this, but injury is a possibility as well. Yes, probably should mention
like
that.
Several series? I'm a little surprised.
By the way, what I'm referring to here in terms of the movement and those numbers that I just quoted are based, I'm talking about sides. Now, when it comes to, and so that's the other thing, you'll hear a lot of people talking about, here are the best coaching ATS records in the preseason. And this makes for fascinating content, right? We've talked about John Harbaugh for years. John Harbaugh cares deeply about preseason. The Ravens are 40-21 against the spread with him as the head coach. Sean McDermott of the Bills, same thing, 17-9, almost exactly the same win percentage with fewer games coached. Jim Harbaugh, the newest of this bunch, is 11-8. But then there's Pete Carroll and Mike Tomlin, also old heads in terms of coaching, who have great preseason ATS records. So that makes for interesting content. But books know that stuff, right? That's baked in typically. It's the information that is just coming out in a given preseason. That's the stuff that ideally you'd want to get ahead of. And as I just mentioned, even if you don't get ahead of it, sometimes you can just play it after the fact. There is no other situation in sports betting where I would ever tell you, hey, it already moved. You still might want to play it, right? It's just a preseason kind of thing. Ideally, though, once again, of course, you want to get ahead of it with an information race and being ahead of that. Now, when it comes to that, this is all, I'm referring to sides here. When it comes to totals, you may have heard me talk about the 3-team 10-point teasers. The totals in these games are so low often, right? A lot of them in the low 30s. You'll never see that in the regular season. So for books that still offer the 3-team 10-point teasers, the practice has always been, hey, knock those totals down to the low 20s, pick 3 of them, play over, and it's bingo bango. Books are adjusting. The only one in Nevada that still offers it, Kelly, Caesars, still offers the 3-team 10-point teasers.
They do?
On totals, yes. So when it comes to totals, that is still, if you can find those, that is still a way to play it beyond the sides information I was just talking about. And the other thing, and this is the thing, books adjust, right? For many years, I talked on preseason football here when there were 4 weeks of preseason. Dr. Bob had this unbelievable trend for week 2 of preseason that teams, it was very simple, teams that lost week 1 of preseason versus teams that had won week 1 of preseason, betting the team that lost the previous week 1, into week 2 was a great bet. But now that it's been reduced to 3 weeks, so usually sports books adjust and we lose the opportunity to make good bets on things, like those 3-team 10-point teasers going away as the years go on. This was just a legislative NFL move to reduce from 4 weeks of preseason to 3, that now goes away, because back in the day when it was 4 weeks of preseason, every team could be counted on to have a pattern of play in terms of who they played. Now that it's 3 weeks, every team plays it differently. By the way, Sean McVay, he never plays starters for the Rams, but the books already know that part. Anyway, Drew with specific examples coming up.
And they're off.
Join Matt Brown and Mike Somich on Ready, Set, Bet as they get you ready to make your bets for all the weekend games.
We're going to be at the end of this thing with money guns, or I'm just going to be like, begging people for change out on Fremont Street.
It feels like the Twins and the Guardians have higher floors but lower ceilings.
Don't miss out on crucial advice for live betting once the game starts, as well as looking ahead to the upcoming action. Tune in to Ready, Set, Bet, weekends at 1 p.m. Eastern on VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network. Game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back on a numbers game, live from Circa Resort Casino in downtown Las Vegas. Gil Alexander, Kelly Bidlin alongside producer number 9. So much more than a producer. By the way, I mentioned when we were talking about preseason football there, Kelly, that Drew will be coming up later, Drew Dinsick, because he will have his preseason week 1 bets. But just in terms of some of those that have already moved, because we're talking about getting ahead of the move is ideal, but even if you're behind the move, it's not the worst thing in the world. Raiders has been a move, right? The Raiders are now in their game. They are now a favorite. They were a dog beforehand against the Seahawks. They are a slight 2.5-point dog, 2.5-point favorite now on the road at Seattle. They were a dog when this opened. The other one that has moved, the Bills opened up as a favorite against the Giants. The Giants are now a slight favorite. Bills got no reason to play preseason football, right? They're just trying to win a Super Bowl. And then I believe the Panthers is also another one. Did they start out as a dog, or they were at least a slighter favorite in this one against the Browns? By the way, the Browns, you hear this news? So we already know, because we talked about this yesterday with their depth chart at quarterback.
Yeah, 2.5 to 4. I think this is mainly this whole reason about.
So it's obviously Deshaun Watson. I guess you should start with Deshaun Watson. Achilles out for the year. So it's Flacco, it's Pickett, who they got by trade with the Eagles, and obviously the 2 rookies in Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. And everyone besides Flacco, so besides Deshaun, of the remaining 4, 3 of them have injuries. Flacco, the man who's 1,000 years old, he's the only healthy one. Shedeur has a shoulder, and the other 2 have hamstrings, Pickett and Gabriel. So they signed Tyler Huntley, Snoop Huntley, in the fold to play some preseason football for the Browns. Good
man, that is it's kind of sad when that's probably the only reason he's on the team. Like, it's literally, hey, we need you for a couple weeks to get through preseason.
What do you think they told him and his agent?
I kind of hope that. I kind of hope, because it's very obvious.
Tyler, there's a shot you could start week 1.
I mean, we've gone back and forth about, like, how are they going to carry? Are they really going to carry 4 quarterbacks into the season? Which I still
can't.
Which I still don't believe they're going to. Even though the Browns camp keeps saying that there's a chance that they do that. But it just kind of sucks, because you would like to use this preseason time to figure out which one of the vets are you going to hang on to and which are you going to get rid of.
They playing for Arch next year? Is that what they're doing? Maybe.
Yeah. Well,
what if Arch doesn't live up to the hype?
He's never going to live up to the hype.
Well,
it's very different than Bronny James. But like, someone else asked me this the other day. Some of these kids are never going to live up to the hype. The hype is too much.
That's why I asked Futak the other day, on a scale from Ewan Galilei to completely living up to the hype, where is Arch going to be? Because when we were watching the Hall of Fame game and DJ was out on the field, and you're just like, wow, still living off your reputation when you were 17.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's incredible. Let's talk some baseball. Mark Borchard joins us from an undisclosed location somewhere in the desert. You can follow him at BaseWinner on Twitter, basewinner.com. He's also the host of a Bet US baseball show, which he does every morning except for this one. And then we're fortunate enough to have him on his day off. It's Mark Borchard. How you doing, man?
No, you know what? I go double duty. I go this show, and then I go right to the MLB show on Bet US TV. So yeah, I mean, it's but sometimes on my day off, like you'll say, Mark, I need you to do something. Can you fly into Vegas, get me a sandwich, and bring it into the studio? And I'm like, no problem, Gil. Anything for you, brother.
It's really kind of you when you do that. I ask that so often. It's really great of you to acquiesce. Let me ask you this, because I asked this of Spore earlier in the week. I want to ask it of you, because for those of us who bet baseball on a daily basis, mainstream media is going to focus on winners and losers of the trade deadline. That's always fascinating. Whether it manifests or not as we think, who knows? I'm curious, and Spore's answer was the Orioles to this question. Which is the team that you think has packed it in, right? And we're seeing a lot of these. Your Diamondbacks, right? 3-1 here to start off August. The Giants, who took a series from the Mets. The Guardians, who just won't give up, and they are annoying me because I have them under season win total for the season, who are just pesky every night. What's the team that everyone thinks is packing it in that is going to just absolutely destroy our bets on a nightly basis, or not a nightly basis, but every so often here, going down the stretch of the baseball season? Who is the live team that you think is going to annoy people?
You know, the Diamondbacks still look pretty good. I'm with you on that. I think they're like 11th in like projected run differential. Yeah, they're 11th. Point for they're on the positive side, even with all the subtractions that they had. They're still 0.45 runs above average. When you subtract the runs scored minus the runs against, and they still have, Marte and Corbin Carroll are top 10 hitters. And I don't think the pitching staff's as brutal as a lot of people think. The starters particularly, and I think the relievers, as bad as a team can be, there's always going to be some fluctuation with that bullpen as far as peaks and valleys. And they've had their valleys, so maybe it's time for their peaks, Gil.
Maybe it would be.
They've had some valleys this year. That's for damn sure.
That's for sure. But that's just, some of these teams, it's amazing. Or you don't write them off because it's still Major League Baseball and they didn't trade everybody, right? They're still real players.
On the other side, the team that's really been, for me, at least from a betting standpoint, are the Nationals. I mean, they got smoked by the Brewers. Are the Brewers this good of a team? And I don't think they are. It's interesting, Gil. The MLB, not to my MLB show, but MLB show, the video game runs simulations, and they picked a simulation. I'm sure they run thousands of them. They picked one simulation before the season, and it was the Brewers to win the World Series.
Wow.
And everybody kind of talk about laughing and shaking your head, but it looks like Joey Ortiz was the MVP of the World Series. So I don't think that's going to happen, but they've really kind of played, in my opinion, over their head, Gil.
So that may be the answer to the next question, which is which of the teams that are right now in playoff position or maybe atop their division, in the Brewers' case, it's best record in all of baseball. Besides the Brewers, who's the most per your numbers fugazi at the top of baseball?
It's interesting. I don't think the Dodgers are as good as everybody's saying they are. I don't, the Padres, they were at plus 750 right after the trade deadline. I thought that was a steal. I don't know, they've got a 16% chance, the Padres do, to win that division. But guys, this Dodgers team, you look at hitting stats, and this is a plus 250 team to win the World Series. And they were 20th in baseball when I looked at it yesterday in weighted runs created plus over the last 2 months. I think that's concerning if you're going to put plus 250 on the team, Gil. To win the World Series, that is, yeah.
Well, and then that's the thing. I mean, the playoffs are a whole nother animal. Even the best teams can falter in those series in the nature of baseball. So right now, Dodgers plus 190 to win the pennant anyway. Phillies plus 350, and there are the Brewers currently with the best record in baseball at 5-1. Mets and Cubs and Padres all in single digits. Everybody else distant from there, including teams like the Reds, who are, by the way, just a stone's throw away from playoff position, who are 50-1.
One thing I wanted to say, and it's going to be interesting to see if this continues, because they both have 7 starts. It's Burns and Mazeroski from Milwaukee. And those guys are top 10 pitchers based on their 10 starts. So if you look at projections, steamer projections, that sort of thing, they're not. They're probably, middle of the pack. But they've really performed well. So if they can continue that's going to give both of those teams a huge upside.
But you based on steamer, unsustainable.
I don't know. I used to think that because the steamer ratings are probably the best, for AAA guys coming up, and I've used them for years. But these guys get so much exposure at such an early age. That Mazeroski and Ben Burns and even Leiter, as he's coming around for the Rangers, these guys look good. So I don't know if maybe the traditional steamers that they've been doing for the last 15 years is going to hold up. These guys look like aces. They really do. And so it's hard to evaluate. If you do an evaluation a certain way for a number of years, and then it's not working anymore, you got to kind of be a little bit flexible, I think, on that. But those are 2 interesting guys, Burns and Mazeroski, to see if they can continue to do that.
Thank you for wearing the Rangers shirt today, Mark. What did you land on today?
Well, I know. Speaking of the good lead-in, Gil, you're a consummate pro. But I like the Rangers today. It was an interesting game yesterday. They walked Langford to get to Josh Young, and he hits a walk-off home run. I've never seen a guy do this, but I wanted to see the flashing forward because Aaron Boone, they panned the dugout when Langford's up, and he's flashing the forward, intentionally walk the guy. I wanted to see Young hit the damn home run and then turn to the Yankee dugout and go like this.
For his teammate.
He's a better, flash the forward, but he's a better man than me. And anyway, today I've got it priced with Texas at more like minus 152. They're minus 122 in the market. I think that's pretty good value, Gil.
Rangers, straight bet. Do you have anything else for us before you leave?
Oh, of course. I've got the base winner parlay, Gil. You've got Boston and Seattle, two teams. I think really Seattle made such a upgrade with their trades. I think they won the trade deadline. If there's winners and losers, they were the winner. And they got Brian Wu coming up, 21st base winner ranking out of 150. And then I'm going to go with Crochet over there. He's number 4 base winner number. So Boston, Seattle, it's kind of a Chuck Roller 2-2, but it's a base winner 1-1. You risk 1 to win 1, Gil, on that one.
All right, Rangers straight. Boston, Seattle parlay from Mark Borchard at base winner. Thank you, Mark.
My pleasure, Gil.
Coming back, where will Terry McLaurin and Micah Parsons play next? Or will they stay?
As sports fans, we may cheer for different teams, but there's one thing that we can all agree on. We want the game to be big. And with 3 levels, 30 cabanas, a 143-foot screen, 6 clean pools, and endless cold drinks, it doesn't get any bigger or any better than Stadium Swim in Las Vegas. All sports, all seasons. It's more than a pool deck. Stadium Swim. It's the only thing like it in the world.
Elevate your sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup. Then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to vsin.com/pro to join VSiN, the sports betting network.
numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
I'm a survivor. I'm not going to give up. What's next, Kelly? What are the next lyrics? Circa Survivor, the quest for $14.2 million will make its debut tonight right here on VSiN. The 10-part documentary on the world's largest legal football contest follows contestants as they chase the $14.2 million prize. Episodes start tonight through Saturday and then resume next week, August 12th through the 16th. Watch episode 1 tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern on VSiN. For more, visit vsin.com/survivor. Have you decided how many Survivor entries you're going to have this year?
2.
And
I'm not going to stop. I'm going to work harder. I'm a survivor.
I said that in the documentary when they were filming. I said that, and I acted like they was my own original thoughts, and I was like, I just made that up. And both of the documentarians from behind the camera just looked at me like, what the hell is he doing? Not used on the cutting room floor. I was like, I'm a survivor. I'm not going to give up. Can I give away one line, which I thought was the funniest in this?
Oh, that's great.
both of them behind the camera, they're like, what the hell is he talking about? Stormy.
They got to be Kelly for a day. Like, what? All right. Why is he talking weird to us?
with all the like shortened words, I'm not gonna give up.
Right.
Yes.
Go and give up.
Stormy is so great at this. She had a line. Can I give away one line from this documentary?
I think you're allowed to do that.
She said that her this is all last year's Survivor contest, by the way. She said that her team name, or entry name, pardon me, her entry name was "This is the year." I mean, this is the year that she won. And she said, she goes, this in fact was not the year. she was awesome in it. But Stormy is Stormy Bonatoni, co-host of Money Moves, which follows us here on the network. She is prominently featured in the documentary, as is our own Tim Murray. Tim Murray prominently featured throughout. And you know who is sort of the narrative voice of this documentary is Matt Brown and Mike Somich from Ready, Set, Bet.
Well, they do such a great job at the contest show.
That's right. They do a great job at the contest show, and they sort of, bring the stats along as the weeks go from week to week. Remember last year? Let's just put this in context for people. 3 weeks in last year, 98+% of the entries were gone.
Sucked.
3 weeks in.
You didn't make one passer, right?
Nope, sure didn't.
Yeah, okay.
Because I had the Bengals.
Yeah, me too.
Bengals lost week 1. Bengals lost week 3. Listen. The average though, like the last 3 years in Survivor, I think like 2 years ago, 70+% were gone after 3 weeks.
Yep.
Or excuse me, 3 years ago that was it. 2 years ago, 60+% were gone after 3 weeks, and then last year was the unprecedented 98%. But the point is that you can count on 2/3 being gone within 3 weeks. That's conservative. Remember with last year when it was 98+%, remember some of us, not me, but some folks were like, boy, I don't know, if you're out that quick, will people ever want to play again? Hell yeah, they want to play again. Because you've had 6 months to stew on it. You're absolutely going to play again. I think they get to 20 million this year.
Well, I always think that's a tough question, too, of like the are we too close to the sun sort of thing on this, because it's like me and you still enjoyed talking about it all season long. Like there really wasn't any lost intrigue from us on it.
20 million, I think, is very doable for them this year. I think that's a commonly held belief. And then in Grandissimo, which is the $100,000 buy-in at Circa, what is the over-under on number of entries? I think they have 8 already confirmed. Is that correct? I still think 30.5 is the over.
11. 11 the board tells me out there.
11.
Yes.
That's the biggest. When PASPA was ruled unconstitutional.
11, yeah.
When PASPA was ruled unconstitutional in 2018.
Get the eyes checked.
You know what you should be able to see the 11.
Yeah, I gotta get the eyes. That kind of scared me.
Those are only breadsticks. Someone needs a new prescription. But when PASPA was ruled unconstitutional in 2018, I think we take this for granted now, but I think the biggest thing that we were all surprised about was how many people just have disposable income for days. So Grandissimo, I think it goes over 30 entries. 11 already.
Yeah. What did I say? I thought, what was my number? 14.5, 15.5? I thought it was going to be right around 15. Looks like they're going to do better than that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. All right. I don't want to do this, but I'll do this. Who will Terry McLaurin play his first snap for in the upcoming season, which begins on September 4th, Thursday night, the whole regular season? Commanders, staying with the Washington Commanders, the taco holders. Look at that logo. -350. The next short shot here is the Patriots at 5-1 and the Raiders at 7-1. Everybody else 14-1 or longer. I think he stays with the Skins, with the Commanders. I think they work it out again. Terry McLaurin is going to be 30 years old on September 15th, so just a couple weeks into the season, a couple games into the season, and he wants to be paid in a manner as if he is not 30 years old because he doesn't have as much wear and tear on his body. Only played 2 years really legit at Ohio State, and then, what is this, his 6th or 7th year in the National Football League. So he feels like he has a younger body than that, whereas Washington, at least thus far, is sort of treating it as, yeah, but you're going to be 30 years old September 15th. Now, the only problem with that logic from the team is, because I understand both sides, I do. I've said this from the beginning. The only logical problem, though, the only problem with the logic from the team is when you guys, meaning the Commanders, when this franchise stunk for as many years as it did, Terry McLaurin was the only great thing that they had. Maybe pay the guy. He's a great face of the franchise. But, and then there's the other thing, which what do we say all the time? You can only win a Super Bowl in two ways, right? If you have a Hall of Fame quarterback, or if you have a rookie, or if you're a quarterback who overperforms on a rookie deal, and then what can you do? You can pay everybody else. So there's that in terms of the pro-McLaurin argument.
Yeah, they out there paying everybody else except for Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, the wide receiver market is such, right, where it's McLaurin wants north of $30 million by all standards. He wants, more than Metcalf, for instance. I don't think he's asking for as much as Jefferson and Chase, but he wants Metcalf, Ayuk kind of money. And I'm not sure what the Commanders are offering. We don't know the exact numbers, but the consensus opinion is that it's like a $5 million difference, which is a lot.
Yeah.
When you compound it over several years. Anyway, I think he stays with the Commanders because I think they can work out something. Listen, most of these holdouts now in today's NFL hold-ins because you can't recoup those fines anymore. Used to be back in the day, we fine him $50,000 a day, but then they give it back to him at the end. Can't do that anymore. I think the Commanders work out a deal where it's, just a few years with an incentive-laden deal, and I think they work it out. So to me, I wouldn't bet anything but the Commanders here.
First of all, shout out to Bet365. It does not get prominently featured on this show very often, but
is that where this
they
is?
had the odds up. Yeah. DraftKings has had these up, but Bet365.
How dare you put this up, Bet365?
That's where I got them from, and I was talking to Zach about this yesterday. He said they have great tennis odds up there all the time, and I know they are one of the few, if not the only ones in the states that offer each-way betting on golf, which, just a shout-out, I would check that out if you're in a Bet365 state. Anyways, so yesterday I sat here, and I said to you, I thought the McLaurin, Hendrickson, Micah Parsons stuff, a week and a half ago, no way this is all going to get done. Okay, this had gotten kind of ugly with, all three of them, and, I'm not nearly as sure. I still don't. Minus 350? We're talking about implied odds of a little over 77%. I think there's a much better chance of him returning to the Commanders than that. And I think this is a bettable number. I think Michael Parsons is a bettable number. Minus 300 for him to return to the Cowboys. Only a 75% chance that we think he returns to the Cowboys?
Yeah, but the problem
is, as ugly as this has gotten, I think we're way over that.
But that's what the issue is with these markets, right? They're so not reflective of reality, right? They're not a calibrated market. All it takes is a small bet to move it. So the notion that these are accurate reflections of reality is probably a fallacy.
Sure, but then I think there's still value in betting that number.
Oh, correct.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I think they're way short. I mean, look, I think I don't think they're short enough. When we talk about these other teams, it's tough to talk about these other teams because of how good Terry McLaurin and Micah Parsons are. You're like, hey, could you use a top 10 wide receiver in the league? Can I interest you in one of the best pass rushers in the league? Who's interested?
By the way,
everybody.
Can you imagine the Cowboys' hypothetical sports talk radio nonsense question I'm about to ask you? Ready for this nonsense question? If the Cowboys and Commanders got on the phone with each other and say, hey, I'll trade you Terry McLaurin for Micah Parsons right now. By the way, me, the greatest Terry McLaurin fan in history, who would hate to see him not play for Washington, I'd be like, make the trade now.
He'd ship his ass out in a second. It's not even close. Who's interested in Micah Parsons?
Can I interest you in Micah Parsons?
31 teams would have a trade proposal into the Cowboys.
What else do you want for Micah? That's what I would say. I think they're all staying. At least these hold-ins usually end up that way. It's a lot of content that is filled with the talk of this, but usually the team and the player can work it out. And the honest truth is, because truth is usually honest, that's redundant is what I'm trying to say, is that, Terry doesn't have a lot of leverage here. He really doesn't. Yeah. He doesn't have a lot of leverage. Is he going to hold out, not play this season? No. Why would he do that? It's the middle of his career. That would just ruin it. So he'll play. He'll play for Washington.
I have no idea how much they're taking on these, Gil. I'm sure it's not a ton. I wouldn't want to bet a ton anyways, but I would bet both the Commanders and Cowboys in these markets.
I like it. All right, Drew Dinsick, what he's betting week 1 preseason. His NFL thoughts beyond that as well. It's a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Introducing the $500 trifecta. Use your GBank Visa signature credit card within 3 months of account opening and deposit